the story The Invisible Child by Tove Jansson. It's a story about love, empowerment, and the importance of speaking up when you see something wrong. Here goes. One dark and rainy evening, the Moomin family sat around the veranda table, picking over today's mushroom harvest. The big table was covered with newspapers, and in the center of it stood a kerosene lamp. Suddenly, there were a few light taps on the glass pane of the door, and without waiting for an answer, Tikki came in and shook off the rain from her oilskin coat. Then she held the door open and called out into the dark. Well, come along. Whom are you bringing? Moomin Troll asked. It's Ninny, Tikki said. Her name is Nini. She held the door open, waiting. No one came. Oh, well, Tikki said, and shrugged her shoulders. If she's too shy, she'd better stay there out for a while. But she will be drenched all through, said Moomin Mama. Perhaps that won't matter much when you are invisible, Tikki said, and sat down by the table. The family stopped working and waited for an explanation. You all know, don't you, that if people are frightened very often, they sometimes become invisible, Tikki said. Well, this Ninny was frightened the wrong way by a lady who had taken care of her without really liking her. I met this lady, and she was horrible. Not the angry sort, because that would have been understandable. No, she was the icily ironical kind. What is ironical? Moomin Troll asked. Well, imagine that you slip on a rotten mushroom and sit down in the basket of freshly picked ones. The natural thing for your mother would be to be angry, but not this lady. Instead, she said very coldly, I understand that that's your idea of a graceful dance, but I would appreciate it if you didn't do it in the food. Something like that. Oof, how unpleasant, Moomin Troll said. Yeah, isn't it? Replied Tikki. This is the way this lady was, all day, ironic all day, and every day. And finally the kids started to turn pale and fade around the edges. Less and less were seen of her. Last Friday, I couldn't even see her at all. The lady gave her away to me and said that she really couldn't take care of relatives she couldn't even see. What did you do to her? Little Moo asked with bulging eyes. Did you punch her in the nose? No, that's no use with the ironic sort, Tikki said. I took Nini home with me, of course, and now I brought her here for you to make her visible again. There was a slight pause. Only the rain was heard, rustling along over the veranda roof. Everybody stared at Tikki and thought for a while. Does she talk? Moomin Papa asked. No, but the lady has hung a small silver bell around her neck so one can hear where she is. Tikki rose and opened the door again. Ninny, she called out into the dark. The cool smell of autumn crept in from the garden. After a while, there came a faint jingle outside, rather hesitantly. The sound came up the steps and stopped. A little above the floor, a small silver bell was seen hanging in the air on a black ribbon. Ninny seemed to have a very thin neck. All right, Tikki said. Now, here's your new family. They're a bit silly at times, but rather decent, largely speaking. Give the child a chair, Moomin Papa said. I really don't know anything about Ninny, Tikki said. I brought her here and told you all I know. Now I have a few things to take care of, but please stop by at my house someday and let me know how you get along. Bye-bye. When Tikki had gone, the family sat silent, looking at the empty chair and the silver bell. Thrilling, little Moo said with awe. Try to give her something to eat. I'd like to know if you can see the food when she swallows it. How on earth does one make her visible again? Moomin Papa said worriedly. Should we take her to the doctor? I don't think so, Moomin Mama said. I believe she wants to be invisible for a while. Tikki said that she was shy. Better leave the child alone until something turns up. and so it was decided. The eastern attic room happened to be unoccupied, so Moomin Mama made Nini a bed there. The silver bell jingled faintly along after her up the stairs. At the bedside, Moomin Mama laid out an apple, a glass of juice, and three candies. Then she lit a candle and said, "Now have a good sleep. Sleep as late as you can. There will be tea for you in the morning, anytime you want. And if you happen to get a funny feeling, and if you want anything, just come downstairs and jingle your bell." Moomin Mama saw the quilt raise itself to form a small mound, and a dent appeared in the pillow. She went downstairs again to her own room and started looking through her granny's old notes about infallible household remedies. Let's see, the evil eye, melancholy, cold. No, there didn't seem to be anything. But yes, there it was. Towards the end of the notebook, she found a few lines written down at the time when Granny's hand was already getting a bit shaky. It read, "If people start getting misty and difficult to see." Good. Moomin Mama read the recipe, which was rather complicated, and started at once to mix the medicine for Ninny. The bell came jingling downstairs one step at a time, with a small pause between each step. Moomin had waited all morning. But the exciting thing was not the silver bell. The exciting thing were the paws. Ninny's paws were coming down the stairs. Moomin rushed out in the garden and shouted to Mama, "She got paws! I can see her paws!" I guessed as much, Moomin Mama was thinking as she sat high up in an apple tree. Granny knew a thing or two. Now that the medicine has started working, we'll be on the right track. Splendid, said Moomin Papa. And better still when she shows her face one day. It makes me feel uncomfortable to talk with people who are invisible and who never answer me. "Hello, Ninny," shouted little Moo. "You have slept like a pig. When are you going to show your face? You must look horrible as you want to be invisible." "Shut up," Moomin whispered. "She'll be hurt." He went running up to Ninny and said, "Never mind little Moo. She is hard-boiled. You're really safe here among us. Don't even think about that horrible lady. She can't come here and take you away." In a moment, Ninny's paws had faded away and became nearly indistinguishable from the grass. "Darling, you're silly," said Moomin Papa. "You can't go around reminding the child about those things. Now pick apples and don't talk nonsense." They all picked apples. After a while, Ninny's paws became clearer again and climbed up the tree. It was a beautiful autumn morning, and shadows made you feel a little bit chilly, but the sunshine felt like summer. Everything was wet from the night's rain, and the colors were strong and clear. When all the apples were picked or shaken down, Moomin Papa carried the big apple press out into the garden, and they started to make apple butter. Moomin found the handle, Moomin Mama fed the press with apples, and Moomin Papa carried the filled jars to the veranda. Little Moo sat in the tree and sang the big apple song. Suddenly there was a crash. On the garden path appeared a large heap of apple butter, all prickly with glass splinters. Beside the heap one could see Ninny's paws, rapidly fading away. "Oh," said Moomin Mama, "that was the jar we used to give to the bumblebees. Now we don't need to carry it down in the field. And Granny always said that if you want the earth to grow something for you, then you have to give it a present in the autumn." Ninny's paws appeared again, and above them a pair of spindly legs came to view. Above the legs one could see the faint outline of a brown dress hem. "I can see her legs," cried Moomin Troll. "Congrats," said little Moo, looking down out of the tree. "Not bad. Then why must you wear such warring brown?" Moomin Mama nodded to herself and sent a thought to Granny and the medicine. Ninny padded along after them all day. They became used to the jingling bell and no longer thought Ninny was very remarkable. By evening, they had almost forgotten about her. When everybody went to bed, Moomin Mama took out a pink rose shawl of hers and made it into a little dress. When it was ready, she carried it upstairs to the eastern attic room and cautiously laid it out on a chair. Then she made a broad hair ribbon out of the material left over. Moomin Mama enjoyed herself tremendously. It was exactly like sewing dolls' clothes again. The following day, Nini had her dress on. She was visible to her neck. And when she came down to the morning tea, she bobbed a curtsy and said, "Thank you all so very much." The family felt very embarrassed and no one found anything to say. And it was hard to know where to look when you talked to Ninny. Of course, one tried to look a little bit above the bell where Ninny was supposed to have her face, but then one easily found oneself staring at something visible far below, and that gave an impolite feeling. Moomin Papa cleared his throat. "We are happy to see," he started, "that we can see more of Ninny today, and the more we see, the happier we are. Next time, I'll tell you the rest of the story."